Hello there everybody, this is Kristen, welcome back to Crochet Witch Tarot, and we are moving right along with the deck collection series, and the last two videos we finished up the winter feeling decks. Now we are moving on to spring. I'm gonna try and not say this every time, but again, these categories are very arbitrary, not meaning I only use these decks in that time of year, just wanted a fun way to break them up, so I pretty much, some decks I do legitimately only use in that season for the most part. But some of them I just looked at and said, you feel like spring. So, let's get right into it, I think. I think this category is not as heavy as the winter section, so we may get through both tarot and oracle in this video. I'm not super sure. We'll see. We'll see once we get through the tarot. But we're starting with tarot. And the first deck I have to show is the Witch's Wisdom Tarot. Now, this deck is so beautiful. It really is. I love the artwork in this one. I love the concept. However, it's not one I'm having a very easy time bonding with. I think because the cards are pretty unwieldy with their large size. I did hear, I think it was in one of Kyra Getchell's videos, that there is going to be a new printing of this deck that's smaller. I haven't looked into it, but that would be super, super exciting. I think if I had an easier time shuffling this deck, I would use it so much because I really love this artwork. But this one, I'm not putting into the maybe bin because I do think once springtime comes around, this might be the deck I use at my altar. Because I have used it that way before. I did enjoy it, almost as like a single card pull, because the cards are so large. So we're going to hold on to this one for sure. But if a smaller version does come out, I will absolutely pick that up and probably end up rehoming this larger size. Look how, it's so good though, isn't it? So, that is the Witch's Wisdom Tarot. So pretty. It's another naked deck that just kind of sits on my altar. I did have the bag that came with this set, but I think I used it to send some other deck along. I don't really know. I don't have it any longer, so we need to kind of find a home for that one. Next up, we've got my beloved Adventure Time Tarot with this amazing bag. I mean, is that patch not the best? It's all about the patch. So I love this deck. I backed this one on Indiegogo. Actually, it might have been back in the spring. I think it came out right around my birthday, so it was a bit of a birthday present to myself. But I will say that as indie decks go, this deck is so reasonably priced for, I think, really good quality. I love the cardstock. I think this creator did the most amazing job. I have, like, no complaints with this deck, and I am a huge Adventure Time fan. I don't know how many times I've watched that whole show through, but you can tell that the creator went in and really, really knew the show, because I totally agree with all of the choices made. Because I feel like that's always a risk. When you get a themed deck, I feel like there's always going to be those things where it's like, oh, well, I would have done this differently or whatever, but I love this one. I think it's so genius. I actually really like, we don't get many cards with Jake and Finn. Most of these I feel like are the really fun side characters we get, which I think is so awesome. I really, really enjoy it. So if you're an Adventure Time fan, or even just starting to watch the show, I highly recommend the show, obviously, but this deck is great. I love the backs. It's really great quality. I love using this one. So that is the Adventure Time Tarot. I think you can get it on Etsy now. Alrighty. Next we have the Tarot of Feeling. This is a tarot deck created by my friend Andy, and there are two different versions. There is a version, this one has these really pretty purple floral backs, but you can also get a guided version that the back of the deck has the meaning of the card, which is so genius and such a really wonderful beginner deck, or even not a beginner deck. I really like using that one as well. I do have both, but this is the one I brought out to show because it's the version I use the most. But it's this really cool photographic deck that I really enjoy. This is one that actually lives in my work bag because typically I'm not one to use decks that have these really realistic photos or people in it, but when I am doing any sort of readings at work or about work, I find having these photographs is really helpful, and having these real people is really, of course, when we turn it around, okay, there we go, is really helpful in terms of relating to the obviously very real people that I deal with at work, being kind of in this position of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not customer service, but I suppose a little bit customer service. I love this card, this Ten of Pentacles. In my brain, that's where I live. So I find it really helps me get into that mode of putting that customer service face on, you know? Or like understanding an interaction that maybe is a bit confusing to me, because that happens sometimes. Sometimes, or there's plenty of times where I'm not really picking up sort of a message that's being sent across to me from someone else, and this really helps me sort that out. So, love this deck for that. That is the Tarot of Feeling. Okay, next up is another Andy-related deck. That is the Way of the Panda Tarot. This is the Baby Panda edition, so it's the smaller size. And I say Andy-related because she has been trying to convince me to get this deck for so long. Look at the backs, and I love this edging color. But I don't know, I was just resisting because I'm not really, I mean, I like pandas, but I wouldn't say that they're any sort of like favorite animal by any means. Let's bring this in a little bit. So I didn't think I would enjoy having a deck solely dedicated to pandas, but the guidebook on this deck is so geniusly done. I mean, and look how cute. I mean, come on, is that not the cutest? But the way the guidebook is set up is that each of the pandas are given a name and a personality, and that's how the meaning is brought through. It's so heartwarming and comforting, and really just tells you what you need to hear. So it's like a comfort deck, but one I know that when I go to it, I'm gonna be told what I need to be told, you know? But with these cute pandas that all have their own names and personalities, it's just so charming. So this has really, really very quickly become such a favorite, and one that I always turn to kind of as my comfort deck when any sort of like conflict is going on or any sort of big feelings. This is the one I bring out, and I really do particularly love this smaller size. I don't know, I think it just adds to it. I really love this one. This is the Way of the Panda Tarot. And actually, we're gonna look at next the deck I feel like might be getting pushed out a bit by this one. And that is the Teddy Bear Tarot. I know. It's so cute. It is so cute, this deck. I mean, I love the backs. It really is such a charming deck. Now, this is one that actually, when Andy was kind of giving a final push into the Way of the Panda, she sent me her full-size copy of it, and in exchange, she wanted to try out this deck, so I sent her over my Teddy Bear Tarot. And she ended up, oh, look at that Three of Cups. I mean, it's so cute. She ended up loving it and loved like the color I edged it in, blah, blah, blah. It was right before she came to visit so we could go to Salem. So I ended up or we ended up saying like, okay, you just keep that copy instead of, you know, traveling with another extra deck. And we ended up finding for a really good price this copy used. So we just had it sent to me so that way we didn't have to do a bunch of shuffling around of decks. But I found in the period of time where I didn't have this deck and Andy was getting to enjoy it, I didn't really miss it. And it is a pretty much a direct Smithwaite clone, which at the time I really enjoyed because I didn't have, and I still don't have, a Smithwaite deck. But look at that Queen of Cups. It's so cute. It is. It really is. But this is the one that I would kind of turn to as a comfort deck, if anything. Which even so, before shipping this off to Andy, I did not use it much. But now, whenever I want this kind of like cozy bear energy, I'm always picking the way of the Panda Tarot. Look at that Eight of Wands. I mean, it's so cute, isn't it? I don't know. I think this one is going to go into the maybe bin to kind of think about. But I mean, at the end of the day, if I end up keeping it just because it's cute and I really like it because it's cute, that's okay. You know, again, this whole like putting things into a maybe bin is not out of any sort of pressuring myself to get rid of anything. It's not from a space of anxiety or stress. So it's okay if it sits in there for a bit, and it's okay if I ultimately keep it just because. But I do think I'm going to let it hang out there for a bit and see if I end up thinking about it. I think that's really kind of the test there. Look at that death card. It's so funny. So that is the Teddy Bear Tarot. I mean, it's so charming, isn't it? I think I'm just in a space now where I've got a lot of decks that I really do want to be spending some time with, and any deck that I feel like any sort of maybe on, I just want to take out of that line of vision just to get rid of some clutter, really. All right, next we've got the Four Worlds Tarot, which is really a cool deck, not one that I've spent much time with at all yet. But it's this really nice linen cardstock. It brings you into this really interesting magical world where there's fairies and mermaids and dragons, and that's what really drew me to this deck, is that I've been interested in dragon energy, but I didn't really think I wanted a deck that was solely dedicated to dragons. So I liked the idea that this was a mixture of fairies and dragons and other beings as well. But I do really like the artwork on this. I like this Ace of Pentacles. Again, I'm not sure this is one. I love this Four of Pentacles too, with the idea almost of like a dragon horde. I don't know that this is one that's going to stay long term. I haven't spent much time with it, so I don't know yet. Flipping through it now, though, I'm kind of like, I don't know if this feels super me. But I do want to give it a chance. There's some cards that really throw me off. Like this one just like doesn't really match up artistically. And I feel like there just might be a lot going on in each of these images that is a little bit confusing to my brain. But again, I've not given it its fair shot. I do want to do that. So that is the Four Worlds Tarot. All right, and next up we've got the Whispering Spirits Tarot, which, oh my gosh, I love this one. Ooh, we gotta bring it out a lot. Ooh, that's in. Am I gonna do that every time? Probably. This deck just makes me smile. I love these creatures. I love Joanna Nelson's art style in any which form. But I have to say, to me, like, I love the Mons Tarot. I really do. But I like having it in the smaller size. I did initially have the full size of the 2nd edition. But once I brought this in, I got this in a trade. This one just felt like the one for me. I don't really know why. But it just is. I love these blobby figures without, like, just like expressionless. They feel kind of neutral to me, but in a way that, gosh, it is nostalgic of something, and I can't quite put my finger on it. But some sort of, like, show I used to watch as a kid that had some sort of, like, expressionless little creatures that were cute. I don't know. It'll dawn on me one day, but I think for some reason these characters are nostalgic in some way that I don't really know how. But yes. So I ended up trading off the full size of the Mons Tarot and replacing it with the travel size, which I really enjoy having because it's just much easier to shuffle. So I still get a lot of use out of that one. But this one is such a favorite. I really, really love it. It's so cute. That's the other thing with the Teddy Bear Tarot is I feel like I've got other cute decks that I would lean towards instead, like something like this. Oh, it's so good. I can't wait for Joanna's Mons Lenormand to come out. It's just gonna be amazing. I can't wait. So this is the Whispering Spirits Tarot. Next, we've got a different sort of medium, I guess you could say. These are the Hilda tarot tiles that I have in this really nice Moonlight Fae bag. These are made by Jamie Sawyer, and I am just so happy to have these. These are such a treasure. I think the idea of tarot tiles is so genius, and I love the Hilda Tarot, but learned about it a little bit too late, where there weren't any card copies, I guess you could say, being sold. So it was one that I was just kind of like looking out for, seeing if I could maybe get it someday. But the only form you could really get it in was Jamie making these tarot tiles. So I guess I must have talked about it a lot, because when we moved into this house, Paul surprised me by getting me this set of tarot tiles, and that just makes it even more special, having that memory attached to it. And I just think, I don't know, I love the, like, that clacking noise. It's so good. It's so good. They're just a fun way to read tarot. I love pulling them out as just like something different. And I love Hilda as a character. I just think, I don't know, she's really comforting in some ways. These are really cool. So those are the Hilda tarot tiles. Now you can get some ASMR while I pack them away. Okay. Next, we've got the fantastic Menagerie Tarot. This is the other deck by Baba Studios I have. Now, this is the first one I really ever saw and was interested in, because it's got illustrations by J.J. Granville, who I am such a fan of. He illustrated the original version of Alice in Wonderland. And so this is it just feels nostalgic to me, because his art is in so many pieces of children's literature, and obviously being a children's librarian, it's kind of my thing. Every time I say children's librarian now, I think of my friend Matt refers to me as a pediatric librarian. They are a nurse, so they're used to that term, pediatrics, and so pediatric librarian is now the thing. But I really do love this tarot. I love all these characters. It makes me smile. It's so cute, and it's such a beautifully done deck. I am so happy to have a copy of this that I was able to get in that last print run they did. It just feels like such a treasure. I love this moon card. It's so pretty. So that is the fantastic Menagerie Tarot. And what do we want to do next? Let's do this one next. The Sacred Rose Tarot. I think I have shared my feelings before on this deck. I think these figures are really creepy. But something about this deck just is calling to me and continues to. I use this all the time for working with any sort of divine energy. It just comes through so well through these cards. But I do think that they're creepy characters. It's one of those where it's like, I don't know why. I don't know why I need to keep you around, but I do. And it's really just that. It's that it just seems to reach that divine energy place so effortlessly for me. Even if I don't love looking at these images. It's just one of those. I feel like we probably all have that deck where it's like, I don't know why I have to like you, but it seems like I do. So that is the Sacred Rose Tarot. Next up, we've got the Yonasa Tarot. I think I'm saying that right. This is the 6th edition. That I, maybe a few months ago now, was able to find used for, I want to say probably the price it was selling for, if not less, which was really cool because I know this artist puts out different color editions, and it's sort of like once that edition is sold out, it's sold out. So I was really excited to get my hands on one of these decks because I love the art style, and I really do love the colorway of this edition. It just feels so springtime to me. I'm really excited to get to know this deck more. I've used it quite a bit already, but I don't know. It's so pretty. It's so different from anything else I have. It's definitely going to come out a bunch in the springtime, but I do think I might make it one of my January decks just because I'm so excited about it. Man, I know she recently came out with the 7th edition, which looks beautiful as well. I think the pre-order is done for that, but I'm sure there will be copies afterwards you can get. I would think. I don't know that for sure, but I would think so? Question mark? But yeah, this one, it's a good one. Definitely recommend if you are interested and can get your hands on that 7th edition. It's really cool. I think the shape is different, so these are kind of like long and skinny. I think the shape of that one might be a bit different. I'm not, again, not positive, but this is a really, really beautiful deck. It is the Yonasa Tarot, the 6th edition. Next, we've got the Fairy Tarot put out by Lo Scarabeo. It's got Antonio Lupatelli illustrations, which I love. Come on, there's a card stuck in there. Got it! I love these backs. First of all, I edged it in this really fun pink. I don't know why, it just felt like it needed pink edging. But I really enjoy this deck. Again, it's for the illustrations. Antonio Lupatelli illustrated a lot of children's books. And we have a few of them at the library, and I love them so much. It is one that I do feel like I need to spend some more time with because it changes around the suits, and I'm not sure if this is a bit more of a numeric reader. I don't really know. I haven't quite made sense of it yet because I need to just learn the way the suits work, and yeah, that's really all I have to say. But it's kind of like it's like an illustrated pip deck in a way. But it is one I really enjoy. I think this one is really gonna have its time to shine come springtime and summertime. It's not one I'm really drawn to use right now, but I love the illustrations. They're just so good. Look at that death card. It's so cute. It just feels really nostalgic. And I love fairies, so of course. So that is the Fairy Tarot, put out by Lo Scarabeo. Next, another fairy deck, we've got the Victorian Fairy Tarot, which is such a favorite. I do love this one. This one is like the ultimate nostalgia deck for me because I had a lot of different items growing up that had these sort of Victorian era fairies on them. So it just really reminds me of that, and reminds me of the, I guess, the magical world I always thought of when I was younger, and even now. Like, this is just how I like to picture it, you know? I love that the suits go by seasons. I think that is so genius. I love this wheel card. It's just a really, really beautiful deck. I love these illustrations. This is one that I included in my deck Reconnect, where I really want to make sure I'm spending time with this deck this year to really further build that connection I feel to it. But this is one that, I love this for the Devil, the Goblin Market. This is one that I just can't picture this one ever going anywhere. It's so good. So, that is the Victorian Fairy Tarot. Next up, we've got the classic Cat Tarot, my first deck ever. It's such a fun one. This was my only deck for the longest time, the deck I learned tarot on. I mean, obviously you can learn on whatever you would like. Would I recommend this as like a beginner deck? No. I don't think I would. It's not an easy reader, but you know, it's not the easiest. Especially for someone who really went from base 0, knowing nothing, straight into this deck. But this one holds such a special place. It's so endearing. I love how the cats are illustrated in this deck. It's really just perfectly captures cat energy. This one is a bit retired, I guess you could say. It's not a deck I really use much anymore. If I ever do readings for Stevie though, this is the deck that's coming out. It's really like her deck now, because when I was learning tarot, I did so by doing about 1,000,001 readings for Stevie, since it was just me and her at the time. So it has just grown to really feel like her deck. And it's so cute. So that is the Cat Tarot. Alrighty. Next we've got the Flora Tarot. Now this is one I'm a bit unsure about. It's so beautiful. I really do enjoy the artwork of this deck. It's such a good plant deck. It really goes very in-depth about the plants in the guidebook. Really gives a story around it. I just don't really feel drawn to use it. I think it could be because of the black and white images, unfortunately. I do have a hard time connecting with decks that don't have any sort of color in them. I think that could be what's going on with this one. And I guess I feel when I want to use a plant deck, I pretty much always reach for my Herb Crafter's Tarot. So this one, it's languishing just a little bit. I don't know, but it is really beautiful. And I find that the guidebook really does such a great job, but there is a lot of information in there on each card. So it also does feel, I guess, a bit overwhelming to do a full reading with if I want to use the guidebook along with it, which I don't have to. But yeah, I don't know. I think this one's gonna go into the maybe pile, but it's definitely one I really, really want to think about because I'm just not sure on it. I think I could find a way to use it and connect with it, but as of right now, it's just not really happening. So I think this one might unfortunately go into that maybe pile. Yes. It's a very beautiful deck. I think it feels kind of serious to me in a way that I just don't fully relate to, I suppose, is a way to explain it. Anyhow, moving right along, we've got the Inkwitch Tarot, which is very new to me, and my friend Andy so kindly sent to me after I got the Endless Oracle. She wasn't really connecting to this deck well, so she sent it along to me so I could try it alongside that Oracle, because I was loving that Oracle so much, and I really, really enjoy this deck. I've only done a few readings so far, but they were so spot on and came through so clearly to me. I just love the art style. The reason I never purchased this one for myself is because I was a little unsure about these modern elements that kind of get put into it, but using it and like pulling a few cards at the same time, I don't really find it to actually be jarring at all. And there's just this interesting energy to this deck. Oh, look at the unicorns. I just love all the elements in it and like all this sparkle almost in the deck. It's really interesting. So I'm really excited to get to know this one more. That is the Inkwitch Tarot. All right. Next, we've got three very brand new decks to me. First, we'll start with the Pastoral Tarot, which is made by Lisa Hunt, who is such an amazing artist. I was really excited about this one. This is a horizontal deck, which is definitely very different. I don't know that I've ever seen another horizontal deck like this, like as a tarot. But I love that we get Lisa Hunt's artwork as this full scene, borderless. I think her, at least the other decks of hers that I know, they all have borders, which does not bother me by any means. I do think those decks are beautiful too, but it is so different getting it as this borderless scene. It's just, oh, this deck is gorgeous. I love how Lisa Hunt illustrates light in her images. This deck really kind of illustrates like farm life, almost like prairie kind of scenery, which I find really interesting. It's definitely a spring, summer feeling deck to me, but I've really enjoyed starting to get to know it. Again, it is very brand new to me, so I don't have many other thoughts beyond that. Aside that, I just think it's beautiful. And the horizontal is really a lot of fun, actually. So, that is the Pastoral Tarot. And next we've got the Taroki by Mr. Freiborg. I pre-ordered this one, and just because, I don't know, I was just feeling this pull towards it. But I was really unsure because it is a Marseille deck, and I have not worked with Marseille before, but something about the colors in this deck, the skull heads going on, I just really loved. And I'm so glad I ended up pre-ordering this one because I've had so much fun using this so far and can definitely see myself being very interested in now learning to read Marseille. I don't have trouble, like, I just kind of right now look at it as a pimp deck, oh my gosh, pimp deck, and read it in a Smith-Waite style, but I definitely want to learn more about Marseille now because I just love this deck so much. I feel like that's how my brain works sometimes, where if I don't have interest in learning something, if I could just find something that gets me excited about it, I'll do it. So that's what's going on with Marseille, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Just needed to find a deck that gave me pink. Because look at this pink. This pink is all throughout the deck, and I think that's really what did it for me. I know that probably sounds so silly, but I love a good pink. Look at that. Oh, so pretty. I'm so excited about this one. I just think it's so gorgeous. So that is the Taroki by Mr. Freiborg. And last but not least, in the tarot section, we've got the Meraki Tarot, the 2nd edition. Really excited about this one. I didn't end up backing this one on Kickstarter, but as soon as it came out and I saw people's walkthroughs or like impressions of it and more about the cards, I just fell in love. And I am so excited. I'm so excited I was able to get a copy of this deck. It's really different and just feels magical and special in some way. I've only just started spending time with this one since I did get it so recently, so I don't have too many impressions on it besides that the artwork just feels magical in this different kind of way. And I love it. I love it. I love the extra cards we get. Look at that Hierophant card. So good. I love the crystal associations, which there is a larger workbook you can get. I did not end up getting that one and was very glad to see that we get these info cards with the crystal associations, the word associations, and I don't have them in here, but there is also cards for, what do you call that? Astrological associations. Which is what I think makes this deck so special, is that there's really so much within these cards. You can use, you cannot use if you want. It's just really versatile in that way. This is my favorite 3 of Wands ever. I love this one. It's one of those decks you get and you're like, I just want to spend all of the time with this one. So that is the Meraki Tarot, this new 2nd edition. Love the edge color as well. And that was our last springtime tarot deck. Now I think I'm gonna look and see how long this one got. But I think perhaps we might continue onto the Oracle decks because there's just not that many in this spring section. So I'm gonna gather myself here, put these away, and bring out the Oracle decks. You know what? Yeah, let's just do it. Let's just do it. All right, we are back with the springtime oracles as well, all in one go. Let's just do it. Okay, to start off, I've got the deck of Krista. So nicely made for me by Holly Audley, one of my favorite deck creators. I still can't even believe she made this. It's so cool. It's basically like a personalized mini Divi, which is the oracle she has put out, one of the oracles she's put out. But this is such a treasure and so cool to have something so personalized. Look at this, and look at the Adventure Time card. Guy Fieri, love him. Oh, it's so cool. I can't get over this. Look at the Stevie card. Oh my gosh. It's so good. So, that is the little deck of Krista. Let's keep going with Holly Oddly because we've got the Bonaventure Cemetery divination deck. Now, I have both of these cemetery decks that Holly has created. This is the deck from her that I've had for such a long time. It's been a few years now that I've had and just love this deck. I love that we get these symbols. It's almost like Lenormand-like, kind of like Memento Mori, where each card is a different symbol related to that cemetery, which I think is so genius. And then you get this guidebook that gives a little short message for each of those cards. But I love this one, so this is definitely a year-round one for me, but since I do now have both of the different cemeteries, I tend to use this one spring-summer because of this beautiful peachy orange color, and the other, which will show up, I think it's in autumn, is like a darker gray. So really cool to have both of those now, but I mean, I, of course, am such a Holly Oddly fan. I've loved this deck to pieces. It has for sure seen its wear and tear since I got it a few years ago. Love this one. That is the Bonaventure Cemetery divination deck. Okay, next we've got the Reclaim Oracle. Now, I think it's just because of the pink in this deck, or I think when I did initially get this, it might have been spring. It makes me think of spring and summer. I don't really know why. This is the first edition put out of this deck, so it is that rose petal finish. Instead, I think now it is in a matte cardstock, which is a bit easier to shuffle, but this one has seen seen some things. It is a bit hard to shuffle, but again, that would no longer be the case if you were to get it right now. Yeah, I used to, it's gonna sound insane. It's gonna sound so insane. I used to just drop the cards all over the floor and like literally swirl them around, sometimes just with my foot, and that's how I would shuffle it. I realize that's insane. I do. We don't do that anymore, but that was the method. But this deck is fantastic. It's such a great shadow work deck. This is a hard hitter. This one I really need to be like kind of in, you can see, look at that scuff. So crazy. I definitely need to be prepared for this one kind of thing, because it will call you out like no other. Really those kind of intense emotions that sometimes we don't want to admit we're having. This one's gonna tell you like it is. But I really love the art style of it. I just think it captures each of these feelings so incredibly well. Like, when you pull a card, it's like you get taken right to that emotion through this artwork. And I just love it. I really do. This is a longtime favorite. It is the Reclaim Oracle. Okay. Next we've got the Nature's Wisdom cards, which I do love this little bag I made for it. It is cute. But I don't know that these are meant to really stay. These are very cool little cards. So each of them has kind of a piece of nature on them, and then you get the messages right on the back. And you get 3 different options, which I think is really, really awesome. But I just don't really lean towards using this at all. Like, I really thought I would love this deck, but I just don't feel drawn to use it. I don't think it totally works for me in the way I thought it would. And I think when it comes to these kinds of decks that give these sort of symbols, I've got other decks that I just really enjoy more. which is unfortunate because I really did love the nature theme of this one. But when it comes down to it, if I want something in this style, I'm going to end up using that Bonaventure Cemetery or the other cemetery deck or Memento Mori. I do like the convenience of having the message right on the back. I just don't think I connect with this one like I really thought I would. They are really cool little cards though. So that is the Nature's Wisdom deck, and I do think this is this one is going to go into that maybe pile. Alrighty. Next we've got the Home Oracle, which is another huge favorite. This oracle is just, it's gorgeous. I love the artwork. I do believe that the creator of this oracle is an art therapist, which just adds a really cool layer because seeing these images, you can see how that lens is really added, because it's another one where you're looking at this and it's like you can feel that emotion that's coming across through the keyword. And I really love this deck for that. And there is a little house in every single picture, which adds such a really cool perspective. I love this one. I think it's really interesting and really different. I don't know. I feel like I can't totally describe my feelings on it, aside that I just think it is so genius and beautiful. Look at this Delight card. It's so pretty. So that is the Home Oracle. I love the box for it too. It's one of these that like slides in. Alrighty, next we've got the Carrot cards, which was a gift from my friend Erin, and these are so much fun. This is another like little symbol one. So if you could tell, I do really enjoy that style of deck, but I love the simplicity of these cards. And it does come with a little pamphlet on, there's just so many different ways you can read these cards, which I think is really cool. And it just has this kind of childlike energy to it that I really, really enjoy. Looking at it now, I almost feel like this is one I should bring along to work with me too, because it does have this interesting storybook feel to it to me. Yeah, really cool. I think there might even be like a game you can play with these cards. Don't quote me on that, but I'm kind of feeling like there might be. And I love rabbits. I really do. This is such a cute deck. I think I might bring this one to work with me. I think that'd be really fun. So those are the Carrot cards. And next we've got the Fairy Forest Oracle, which, huge favorite. I ended up repurchasing it to get the matte cardstock that Blue Angel now uses that I think is gorgeous. I trimmed off, I think there were 2 other borders, which was kind of excessive, but so I brought it down to just this colored border, which I think really adds something to these cards, but this deck is such a favorite, and I really never thought it would be. Like, I don't think, this is one, or the initial copy I had is one that Andy gifted to me, and I never would have bought this one for myself, but it's one of those where it just, for some reason, really, really works. The artwork is gorgeous. I really love this one. I really like, too, that we get the 3 keywords along the bottom. That is what I really think makes it for me with this deck. Look at that! I love this card. It's so cute. Yeah, I really enjoy this one, and I especially enjoy it in this new matte cardstock. It is so good. So that is the Fairy Forest Oracle. Keeping on the fairy theme, why don't we? We've got another Blue Angel deck, and that is the Fairy Temple Oracle. Another really, really gorgeous one. This one, I am obsessed with the backs of this one. How pretty are those? I edged it in like a matching mint kind of green. But this is a really beautiful deck as well. I like that it's this main keyword we get really works for me, but then it even goes beyond that and again gives us those like 3 extras at the bottom. And I really, really like this deck for that. It has such a different energy to me than the Fairy Forest. I do think for some people it probably would be like, you know, one and the same to have both of these decks, but for some reason they've got a different energy to me. This one I definitely lean into in the spring and summer. I do kind of think actually the Fairy Forest is more like a fall-winter one for me, but whatever. Really enjoy this one. This was definitely the year of the Oracle for me, I have to say. I brought in so many amazing oracles this year. Yeah, I love this one. That is the Fairy Temple Oracle. My feet are falling asleep again. I need to not sit the way I keep sitting while I record this. Crazy. Okay, next we've got the Grandmother's Oracle, which is the original version of the new Song of the Grandmothers Oracle put out by Kara Simon. So this was the deck she created on her own years ago now. I've had this deck for quite some time now, but I do really love it. It definitely has a very different energy to me from the Song of the Grandmothers. So keeping both doesn't really feel redundant, even though a lot of the grandmothers are kept the same. I'm not really sure why that is, but they still feel like 2 different decks to me, probably because they are visually so different. The Song of the Grandmothers to me feels like an oracle that captures all of the energies I really like to work with like animal, plant, there's some crystals in there, sort of natural forces, and that's how I use this deck, where this one really feels like that true grandmother energy to me. So this one is a bit of a comfort deck in that way, where I'm looking for it to give me grandmotherly advice, where the Song of the Grandmothers I don't necessarily use in that way. But I really do. I love this one. It is the Grandmother's Oracle by Kara Simon. 2 more to go. We've got the Old Ways Magic Oracle. Beautiful. I mean, it's so good. I really like the Celtic themes carried throughout this deck. I like that we get this keyword, and then if you go into the guidebook, you find out who this figure is. Like, this is the Cailleach, I believe, with Endure. This white stag. I mean, this is such a beautiful deck, and really connects well to my own spiritual practice and figures and energies I work with. So it just really feels perfect to me in that way. This one tends to... The Wisdom of the Cailleach, I find I've been using fall-winter in the way that I mentioned in my Winter Oracle video that I last posted. And then once it gets to spring-summer, I kind of switch that one out for this one. That seems to be what goes on anyway. Oh, I love that Badger card. But yeah, this is a fantastic one. Couldn't recommend enough. I love it. So that is the Old Ways Magic Oracle. Last but not least, this was a real standout deck from this year. And that is the Celtic Spirit Oracle. This one is from Rockpool Publishing. And I really never even thought about this deck for a long time. When I first saw it, I just was like, yeah, that's not for me. But, well, come on. I mean, can we adjust with her? Since getting it, like, this has become one of my most used oracles. I think because I needed to wait for the right time to realize that my spiritual practice really does tend to take this sort of Celtic lean. And so this really just makes sense for me on a lot of levels. Again, we get these 3 keywords, so genius. So it really works beautifully for me as just like an everyday use oracle, but it also connects to that spiritual practice I have super well. So it is so multifunctional. I actually really enjoy how kind of pared down it is with this kind of open background, because it makes it really usable visually with a lot of my tarots, which is an important part of my practice, I would say, is having it visually appealing to me, because otherwise I'm not going to focus at all on it. That's just how it goes. But I can't recommend this one enough. It is beautiful. The guidebook is so amazing. That is the Celtic Spirit Oracle. And that is our last spring oracle deck. So we did it all in one go. We really did. And I think it probably will be this, I'm not sure how it'll go for the rest of the seasons. It might actually be the same. Winter was definitely like the heaviest category, but the others I think we will probably do in one go as well. So that is all I have for you today. I hope you are all having a lovely holiday season, and I will see you again very soon.